Can you hear me? You can hear me now? Let me try to make sure this is close enough. Okay, we're all good now? Okay, so a little bit of a different type of stream today. Can you still hear me? I think for whatever reason, it took my mic a minute to come in. Did my sound go out or can you still hear me? Okay. A little bit of a different type of stream today, as you can tell. You can see behind me, the shelves have been cleared out for the most part, and we're going to be doing some reorganizing of the studio. If you missed my last stream, which was just a general chat Q&A, you can go watch that from over the weekend. It's still up. But I talked about reorganizing the studio both from the reaction side and as well as the discussion side. And because of that, also a new streaming setup. Now, this isn't the streaming setup because we're doing this today. But if you look at the thumbnail of the live stream, you can see what the streaming setup kind of was. So I have moved one of my shelves over for that streaming setup, and now we have these two and the middle shelf that I had been using for my vinyls. So before I did any changes, if you could see on our videos, you have to speak up. I'm wearing a towel. Why are you wearing a towel? Let me see. Is this loud enough? I think my mic is like flipping upside down or something. But let me know. Is this loud enough? Let me check my audio. Something. But let me know. Is this loud enough? That sounds good. Okay. So before, this is where we used to have all of our horror stuff, horror gallery stuff, movies, all that, VHS. I had vinyls here and some other. Well, originally I had Star Trek stuff here, then I had some vinyls here, and then this is where I originally had all the Star Trek stuff. So you can see the top shelves are still have stuff in them. However, in our new setup, our chair is going to be a bit closer to these shelves. So really, what we're going to be organizing today is the cutoff being the top of this. So essentially, these here, and then about these three shelves on either side here. So ignore these ones up top, all this stuff up top, and none of this is planned to be in frame. So this is going to stay here. This stuff's going to get moved. And then this is all of our non-Star Trek sci-fi stuff that we have. This will probably all stay here, but it'll be out of camera. This stuff will move, to stay in camera, but we'll go through all of that. So we're going to get started here, and I basically have it separated into a few different categories, a few different phases. What I'm going to be doing is essentially attempting to fill all of this with Star Trek related stuff, so that when we do the discussions, all behind us will be Star Trek related memorabilia. I have it separated. The first we're going to go through is going to be kind of the big ticket items, literally the bigger items that take up more room, and also just stuff that is absolutely going up, that we're going to make room for no matter what. So we'll go through that, and I want your guys' help with deciding where on these shelves they should go. Keep in mind our chair placement. We'll kind of go over that too. Once we get through that, then we're going to go through the media, the Blu-rays, the books, the DVD box sets, all of those. And at that point is when we're going to start deciding. I'm going to have you guys help me decide what goes up, what doesn't, what needs to be featured. Once we go through the big ticket items, we go through the media. I guess board games and stuff like that would be included in media as well. Then we'll reach the final stage of basically miscellaneous, action figures, comic books, little toys, trinkets, all of those things that you probably aren't going to see in detail on camera when they're in the background, but just kind of the filler stuff to fill up the shelves after we get through the main thing. So once we get to that, not only will you guys help me put stuff in different places, but you guys will also be able to decide what to put on display. But first, we're going to start with those big ticket items, with the important ones. We'll wait a few more minutes just to allow people to get here if they're just, I know people are still at work at this time, or they could be busy. So we'll give a few more minutes before we start. But how's everybody doing today? Jamie says, good day from Tampa. Is it hot down there? It's hot up here. Yesterday I did yard work. Wife and I did yard work, and it was only around 90, but it felt insanely hot. Sun getting hotter every year, it feels like. Ian says, I'm watching this while at my internship. I don't got shit to do. Well, I'm glad you're here, man. Gavin says it sucks. Work's brutal. Sorry to hear that. Hope this stream can make you feel a little bit better today. Have some fun. Near record temperatures in Tampa, 105 plus degrees. Oh my gosh. Crimson Revenant. That's crazy. Feels like 108 here in the Alabama Gulf Coast. Whoo! Yeah. What's the weather here right now? Yeah, 82 and cloudy. So beautiful day here, but the clouds look like they're going to be going away soon, and it's going to be reaching a little bit higher. But overall, this is like the 1 to 2 month span throughout the year in Ohio where it's not terrible outside, and some days it's just extremely sunny and hot, and then other days we get some clouds. We get lucky for just a few days. Kingpin says, I propped you up on my desk at work. Let's go. Just started working from home, says Marco. There we go. Ian, Josh, I just ordered almost all of TNG on VHS and am but a 21-year-old college student with a tiny room in my parents' house. How cooked am I? Is it each individual episode on its own VHS? Because that would be a lot of VHS. That would be a lot. You might be severely cooked. One episode per tape. Whoo, yeah. 100, so 179 or so, maybe a little bit less if the two parters are together, maybe. Yeah, I don't know what you're gonna do, Ian. You might have to rent out a storage unit, or maybe if there's just like an available closet at your parents' house, I would look into that. I had that problem for a while as well until being able to get here earlier or later last year, about 9 months ago now. Are the chairs going to be arranged such that the 6 cubbies are in the middle, visible between you two? Yeah, absolutely. So I don't have the chairs out right now, but basically same setup as they've usually been, but will be closer. So the chair I sit in it'll go a little bit in front of this most likely, but it'll be kind of off to the edge of it here, covering this one. So same thing with Alex's chair over here. So while we're going to fill up these 3 shelves, keep in mind that this top one here is really kind of the prime real estate. All right, we're going to want to put our favorite stuff up here. And then this middle one, especially here, you'll still be able to see everything. That'll start going behind us. And then obviously the bottom one, not really going to be able to see much, but we're going to fill it all up anyway. So keep that in mind as we're going through organizing this stuff. I think we've given enough time. I'm going to go ahead and just start jumping in. So I have my mic on, so you should be able to hear me as I back up here. But we're going to go ahead and go through this. Oh, got a super sticker from Mesa TV. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. Kind of like Booze, top shelf. Absolutely, Jamie. So first thing, again, with this first phase, this is all stuff that's absolutely going up, but you guys are going to help me decide where to put it. So the first one that we're going to decide, this is a new item. You would have seen this on the 30th birthday, my 30th birthday live stream if you watched that. This is a DS9, a Deep Space Nine replica. However, I think Badger sent this to us. However, it only has these top ones, not on the bottom. And I think there was like a little piece that came with it, but this piece on the bottom is kind of broken. So essentially, this is what we have right here, this part of it. So I'm going to put this up. Obviously, we're watching Deep Space Nine now. So up to you guys. We could put it one of these or on the shelves next to it. Second shelf. What are you guys thinking? It's upside down. So should I switch these then? Reclip these on. Hang it from the ceiling. Yeah, not an option, unfortunately. Is that better? Doombringer says Cubby number 1. Webb has choice paralysis. What are we thinking? So you guys can say either shelf, if we should put it on one of the shelves, or in the cubby. Which one do you guys think? This is what it would look like in this cubby. Now, it's not gonna fill up really the whole thing. There's gonna be a lot of empty space here. We could end up putting it on top of something maybe, or try to put, but that's kind of tough spacing wise. Same thing here. If we end up putting something under it, maybe we could fit it on top. What do you guys think? You're saying next to the cube. So again, ignore this top part. This stuff is being moved. This top will not be in the frame. These are just here as leftovers right now. So do not put them there. Yes, I know that Deep Space Nine came with a stand. I was saying this part was kind of broken, but since that's actually the top and this is the bottom, let me check that again. 1 second. Was this the stand? Does it go like that? I think on the stand, oh, it looks like it still fits. But obviously, Badger, you can tell me if maybe I just couldn't find it. I can try to look harder in the box. But when you sent it, did it have these ones on the bottom too? Because I could only find 3 of them when going through the box. Saturday Jams, welcome to the stream. 2 live streams in 1 week. What have we done to deserve this? Well, I would say overall what you've done is just help support the channel, because now that I'm able to do this full time, live streams are something I'm going to be building in more to our weekly stuff. Now, I know a lot of you are thinking, but you already can't post the videos on time. I know, but whether or not I live stream is not going to change that. Okay. Badger said, no, I'm still looking through my Trek room for the other 3. Y'all mailed them to you. Okay, fair enough. I just wanted to make sure I wasn't missing them. You said something about pressing their buttons. What buttons? Where are the buttons on here? On the top? Oh! All right, badass. Badass. All right. Make sure to keep the power flow balanced if you try to move the station. Will do. Okay. What are we thinking? Should we leave this here? Badger said he'll try to find the bottom legs. That would be a nice addition. Should we leave it here? Should we wait until and see if we get the bottom legs before we put it up? We can always obviously change our mind as we go through this too. It's not set in stone. Looks great there. Okay. Up next. So that was Deep Space Nine. We'll jump back over to TNG because we have the shuttlecraft Magellan sent to us by James. This is definitely going up. Should we go cubby, shelf, and which way should it face? This way? What are we thinking? Shelf in the middle facing towards DS9. In the middle, do you mean like this? Or do you mean up here? Just need a wormhole now. Yeah. On the long DVD shelves. Okay. Which one? Should we put it over here? Is shelf towards we're sitting. Okay. So let's go over this one. Let's go over this again. I know people probably came in late. I will be sitting. This will be like a rough estimation. Okay. I'll be sitting like right here. I'll be sitting like right here. It's going to be even lower than that, but I'll be sitting. My head will probably be like right here. My goal is like my head's right here and Alex's head's right here. That's like the goal. So you'll be able to see this top shelf pretty well. We'll cover up some of these second and third one and ignore everything above this. This is going to be the top of the frame. So the wharf and the cube, those are going to get moved. Ignore all this up here. We're going to move that. Not move this. This is just, will be out of frame. But right here. Put everything in a secret compartment. Okay. So we still got to, let's go back to deciding on this one last time. Is that good where it's at right now? Or do you think the shuttle deserves one of the cubby spots? What do we think? Because I want to be obviously even it out. I kind of want to split these among the Deep Space Nine and TNG. So that's why we have a TNG item. But if we want to set that on the shelf for now, put it below the Deep Space Nine station, but in the right cubby. So like this. Put the big pieces out so we see what we have to work with. That's actually a good idea. Okay. So we see what we have to work with. All right. So this is what we have in terms of the really big pieces. We have the Ferengi head. I'm just going to put them on the shelf for now, and we can decide what goes into the cubby hole. So that we got that. We have the Star Trek motion picture soundtrack, 40th anniversary special edition. Or is it 50th? 40th, right? Yeah. So that'll go, and I have a stand for this. So this will go on a stand, whether it's in the shelf or in the cubby. We have the Star Trek 3 collector's glasses. I have 3 of them. You guys have seen those before. And then we have the mirror. This is actually TOS, the mirror bookends. So we actually have a number of TOS ones as well. And then this one will be a little bit more difficult to place because I don't have a frame for it, but the drawing of Alex and I from Analog Mind, one of the first pieces of fan mail we got, that's going to go up somewhere. But I don't have a frame for it. And then we have all of this, which is the TOS movie VHS set, the TOS box set, the TNG box set, the Deep Space Nine box set, and then the first 9 Star Trek movies on 4K. I do not have Nemesis on 4K. I don't know if they made that on 4K, but the first 9 movies on 4K. So we have all of those too that are definitely going up. And then keep in mind, they're not shown right now. So I didn't have them up before because we didn't start it. But I also have Voyager and Enterprise box sets. I think actually they were up, but I think they were in the background. Enterprise and Voyager box sets as well. But those don't have to go up because obviously we haven't gotten there yet. So if there's room, we can display them, but not mandatory. But this stuff that's already up here behind me, that's all has to be put up as well. Not in the shelf they are now because they need to be moved down to be in frame. Your first item was the Kirk versus Kirk DVD or sign or something that should always have a position of prominence. Yes, we do have that as well. That is here. Let's see if I can find it real quick. I believe you're talking about this, the Enemy Within promo card. That will be on there as well. We're not going to get there yet because that's a smaller item, so I want to get the bigger items in size put up first. Is that Quark's head or a generic Ferengi? Badger may be able to answer that. He sent it. Thank you for the super chat, Badger. A picture of a wormhole behind the DS9. Okay, well, let's work with what we actually have right now. Will the motion picture record fit in the cubby? Yes, it will. This would fit in a cubby also. So, like, if we put it right here, it would fit there also. So these are the main things here. We got the TOS bookend, Deep Space Nine station, the Magellan shuttlecraft, the motion picture soundtrack. Is this flipped? Is my camera flipped? Wait a minute. I just realized this. Sorry, my camera's been flipped the entire time. Okay, anyway. Or wait, is it flipped? Yeah, it was flipped before. Okay, this is how it's actually going to look. I don't know why it was flipped. I think that was a default setting on StreamYard to have it flipped. Dark Fallen, what's up, man? Good day, sir. Have yourself some tea, Earl Grey hot. And actually never had that, but thank you so much for the super chat. It was not flipped. Yeah, it was. I'm looking back right now. Or wait a minute. Interesting. Okay, no, it wasn't. Why was it flipped for me? Doesn't matter. Anyway, back to what we're doing. What do we want out of these items here? So we have the TOS, bookends, the Star Trek motion picture, Deep Space Nine, the Magellan, the Ferengi head, the Star Trek 3 collector's cups, and then we have the Worf figure and the Borg cube as well, and then all this media that's on this shelf. So this is what we have to work with right now that we need to put up on one of these shelves or the cubbies. So I guess the first thing to decide is what should take up the cubbies. Right now we have the Deep Space Nine we decided goes there. Any of this can move though. What are you guys thinking? Head and the cups together in a cubby, I don't think they would all fit in a cubby unless I'm just straight up covering up the face of the Ferengi. Is that what you mean? Cube next to DS9. That makes sense. That makes sense. So what are we thinking about this? If I let's just put this down here for now. Actually, this cube will not fit in the cubby unless I take it off the stand. I don't even know if it'll fit in the shelf. Let me see. Yeah. So it was actually part of the reason I had it up there was that it didn't fit like on the stand, but I can put it in, I think, like this if I just set it down. That's an option. But then I thought that looked a little bit weird, just like on its side. What do you guys think? Badger saying push the buttons on this as well. On the Borg cube? Okay, people are saying looks better standing up. I don't think it's going to be able to stand up anywhere here. So like the way it's standing up here, just again, reminder, this is not going to be in frame. None of this is going to be in frame right here. This right here will be the top of the frame. It might be like an inch above it or below it, but this right here is going to be basically the top. So this, if I keep it right here, this will not be in the videos. So I don't even think, now I can move these shelves. I can adjust these. It's just, it becomes a pain in the ass because obviously if I move it on one side, it's going to be uneven. But I can move them. But right now, it's a bit, this would have to get moved. So if we want me to put it on a shelf, I could move the shelf. But then it would throw off, obviously, the other shelf. So if this is important enough to put in the background of the video to keep standing up like this, then I can adjust the shelves. What do you guys think? Take it off the stand. So this stand is built into this cube. This is not, I cannot take it off of this. Like I said, I can just set it in there like this on its side. But people were saying it didn't look that great. Chris says redecorating is futile. All right. So we're gonna let's skip this for now. And let's see. I'm gonna move this shelf one. See if that would be enough. This one here I can't move because this is the center of the stand. So this one's built in. But I can move this down one. Look at this. Josh Home Improvement. This is crazy. All right. Let's see if that'll fit now. Does that look good? Now it looks like scrunched in there. I feel like that doesn't look that great. Badger says the stand does come off the Borg ship as that is where the batteries go. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? Do you have a small table or stand that can go between the two chairs? Yeah, I don't think so. But even if I did, there's not enough camera room for that to happen anyway. So Alex and I are pretty centered in the camera, and where this is framed right now, like I can't really zoom any further out. As you can already see, you know, that's my mini fridge over there with our snacks. So it's like, and then over here is just a wall. So like I can't really zoom out any further than this, which is why Alex and I are so centered in the frame. So like something like a table between us, it just would not work. Okay. You know what's actually funny is looking at this right now. Don't the shelves actually look more even now that I moved that? Like were they off by one before? I don't know. Anyway, why not film in front of the green screen? Because why would I film in front of the green screen when we have all of the stuff that our audience has sent us? Just to throw up a cover it all, throw up a shitty green screen and put some half-assed amateur keying behind us that I'm terrible at? I'd rather not. All right, we're gonna skip the cube for now. We'll leave it up there. What do we think about the rest of this stuff? We got the bookend. the soundtrack, the Ferengi head, the Star Trek 3 cups, and then the Magellan. I think Webb said something up here earlier about the shuttle that I did not read out. Something about how it doesn't take up a lot of room, which I do agree. I lost it, but oh, here we go. The shuttle is short, so leaves a bunch of space above it in a cubby or shelf. What about the big area top middle, because you can fill the space above behind it with pictures? Yeah, if you're talking about up here, again, that's not going to be in frame. Box sets of TOS, TNG, DS9 on a big shelf with bookends. Okay, that could work. So basically just moving all of these down. Should the media all stay on one shelf like that? Because that takes up essentially the entire shelf. So there would be no room for the bookends at that point. But should they all stay together like that? Obviously the 4Ks on top of them, I'd have to move those as well. Bryce, we are not going to use the green screen. So it's just not what we're doing. Put the record behind the ship pod. Let's see how much that would cover it up. So just as a test. See, I feel like that covers it up too much. Like the point of it, it just says Star Trek. I mean, I guess that's fine, but I would prefer to not have to cover up any of these bigger items. I would like them all to be on display. But I do agree that maybe the Magellan is better on a shelf or maybe on top of something on a shelf. That could work a little bit better. Can Worf and the shuttle be together? Like this? Or do you mean in a cubby? Keep the TOS stuff together if possible on one shelf. Okay, that makes sense. Use the bookends to highlight currently viewed series on DVD, so we'd have them around TNG and DS9 at the moment. Move TNG out when we aren't watching it. Move the other series and bookends as we start them. That's a good idea. We could try that. So we could do, let's see if the bookends, let's see. So this isn't final or anything. I'm just moving this right here for now. So for example, right now we're watching TNG and Deep Space Nine. Like that. Could that be cool? I don't think that would all fit into a cubby, but on a shelf like that. We have books to stack laying down on a shelf and put the shuttle on top of the stacked books. That's a good idea also. So let's see. So here's some new books that we got. We had books in the background before. Here's some new ones. Definitely these three big ones are ones that I would want to feature because they haven't been in the background yet. It's These Are the Voyages, one for each season of TOS. So let's see how this looks with the three of these stacked on a shelf. And then with this up here, that seems like a pretty good fit. What do you think about that? Doesn't have to be in that exact spot, but it seems like a pretty good fit. Or we could turn it, obviously, as well. Like it. Looks great. Looks great. All right, cool, cool. We're cooking with gas. Good idea. Okay. What about on the actual placement? Here's another big question to think about too. Someone I think kind of brought this up about keeping the TOS stuff together. Should we, in general, just have it all be mixed, or should we have like a TOS section? Should it be like from left to right, like TOS, TNG, Deep Space Nine? Even though that's already not really the case because you have a TNG shuttle on top of the TOS book. So whatever looks best. Yeah, fair. That's fair. So let's go. I really like how that looks. So if we move this here, for now at least, and that way it should be pretty good in frame. Why not put shows in their own respective cubbies? Yeah, my only thing hesitation there is that uh that would just the box sets are very easy to put on a shelf, as to where a lot of these random unique items, aren't going to fit on there perfectly. That's my only thing with putting a like if I put the TOS box set in here, it would fit pretty well, but there's just not, they fit on the shelves pretty well too. So that's the only thing I go back and forth on about that. Shuttle below DS9. I like the shuttle where it's at now, unless you mean, do you just mean like down one shelf? I don't think this would fit in a cubby. Actually, let's see real quick. It actually does. Okay. Do we like it in the cubby or do we like it on the shelf? Which one? Just put shelf or cubby. So there it is in the cubby. Shelf says Bryce. Cubby, shelf. Oh, let's look at it right down the middle. Wow, that is basically 50-50. I guess let's ask this. If we move this to a shelf, what's going in the cubby? Because this so far, I like this right here. What are we going to put in the cubby if we move this? Don't be too worried about the shadows. These shadows aren't accurate to what the recording's going to look like. We're going to have obviously different lights up. So don't be too worried about the shadows. This is just my natural room lights in a big light that I have. This is not what the lighting looks like. Do Worf next to the TNG series. I don't know if that would. I like this right here. I feel like I'm kind of locking this in how it is right here. I like this idea of the bookends with what we're currently watching. All right. Let's move this back to the shelf for now. Does Worf deserve? I mean, that is not taking up much room at all. I feel like Worf's definitely a shelf item. Where? We can find out. Yeah, we have. I know other items are coming. I just want to. I want to. These are the ones that are 100% going on the shelf. So I want to determine where these are going, and then we can move them around with the other items. The other items are coming. There's a lot of them. So okay. Connor says can't think of anything better than the shuttle in the cubby. Don't you have a phaser and communicator too? Yes, but again, those are items that they're not going to take up a lot of room. You know, they don't stand up, so you have to lay them down, so you can't really see them that well. Get a wastebasket and put Star Trek 6 in it on the shelf. That's actually hilarious. Turn the board cube slightly. Yeah, okay, so for anyone new here, ignore this up here. The camera frame is going to start right here in the videos. This is the top. So we're concerned with here down. So this, I'm just going to take this off because it's confusing people. Okay. Let's go with, we can put the box set. Put that right here if we want, maybe. I think I saw a lot of people saying this was good in the cubby. I'm just going to start putting stuff, kind of assembling stuff and seeing if we like the look. So these are the 6, this is the 6 Star Trek movies collection on VHS. Yeah, I really don't know for these. This maybe we can wait until, because we have the other VHS as well that I got to put up. Center the bookends, Worf to one side. Okay. Shots every every time Josh tells people to ignore the top section. Yeah. Since you moved the Ferengi head, put the board cube back on the shelf next to Worf. Do we think it looked good? People were saying the board cube didn't look great. I mean, kind of looks like shoved in. Now there's a bunch of empty space under it. I guess we could end up putting something here. We could put something different here. Something smaller. The Worlds of the Federation book. I don't know if I have that. Put the glasses below the cube. Put your phaser under the cube. Okay, a lot of ideas coming in here. The glasses I really like. Obviously, I love Star Trek 3. The glasses are a really good one. They've been in the cubbies before. Maybe I could fit them right here. We have the what is it? Faltorpan, the Enterprise exploding, and then we have Lord Kruge. We can put those here. That could be a decent spot for those. Maybe we could end up putting books and something under that to have it on top, so we can do that. You do. It was in a previous mailbag opening. Okay. So with that being said, let's keep this where it's at for right now. We can always move this stuff, but let's move on. We have a bunch of other stuff here. So we're gonna move on to the media. Move the books under the shuttle. They are. So let's move on. Oh, one more. I almost forgot about this one. One more big ticket item here. Just got this in our last mailbag on the live stream. We have 4 of these Radjenko mugs. I have to take off this tape and stuff on the handle. Ractigino? These are taped in a very auspicious way. Good pronunciation, thanks. All right, let's see. Come on. You know, I think I have a blade. Hit him with the blade. Of course, I just cut through the. Come on. Okay, that is horrible. There we go. Thank you to whoever sent these to us, but wrapping these handles was crazy work. We are not going to be drinking from the mugs. Because we refuse to do anything Star Trek related in our reactions in terms of what we're wearing or anything like that. Because I find it too slippery of a slope. I don't want to end up sitting there in a Federation uniform, drinking out of a Ractigino mug, wearing a, I'm not doing any of that. We were already had the green screen bridge for a while, and I didn't like it. Bigger whiteboards. Can you not read, Nerdy Times? We say everything we write on it out loud. Okay, finally got it. All right. We have 4 of these as well. Smaller whiteboard. There we go. Kingpin wants us to wear alien face paint. Okay. All right. I'm going to set this here. Keep in mind we have 4 of these in case we want to put those up. One less book under the shuttle. Well, the books kind of go together though. It's season 1, 2, and 3 of TOS. So I feel like it kind of has to be like that. It's like scene from the movie PCU, wearing the band shirt of the band you were at the concert to see. Don't be that guy. Yeah, I've heard about that before. Yeah, similar. But as for anyone else, do whatever you want. But for me, yeah. Something from the animated series on display, like the lenticular cards they came with. That could be something. Yeah, once we get to the smaller items, that's something we could do. Although I think I actually don't have those. I think that box set Alex took with him because I have the animated series on the TOS box set, which I don't think came with the cards. I think Alex has that. The shuttle should face left. Okay. With it facing left, should it go on this side? And this side of the cubby? I don't have a large Enterprise D model. I have like some small trinket ones. And then as for the lights, these are actually hold on. Those can come off. Because I put them on and we don't really use them. But yeah, obviously right now it looks a little bit in darkness because of the light setup for this stream, but it's going to be not like that. There won't be as much of a shadow. But how many lights do you see? Good question. Okay, let's keep it moving. I think we're good right now, unless you guys say anything. Also, don't forget, we also have this. It's a little bit beat up because it was used for something a little bit nefarious, if you know what I mean. But got the Kirk versus Gorn fight promo as well. So that is an option. I keep saying let's keep it moving, and then I get distracted. Okay, here we go. Let's start with the rest of the VHS I have, Star Trek related. Here they all are. So I have, let me zoom in a little bit here for this. So I have The Man Trap on VHS. Then I have my favorite episode of TOS, This Side of Paradise. Then I have the motion picture and The Wrath of Khan. These are, obviously I have the full VHS set, I eventually got, so these ones aren't, as important to have up, but I do have them. The Offspring, TNG on VHS. This is a collector's edition double feature with Half a Life and The Host from season 4. And then Alex just got me for my birthday favorite Star Trek episode, Lessons, on VHS. Then we have the Star Trek 25th anniversary special, and then the 3 of the TNG movies, Generations, First Contact, and Insurrection. Again, I do not have Nemesis on any physical media yet at this point, but that is what I have for VHSs. So what are we thinking about the VHSs? What do we do with them? I'm not thinking a cubby, but it is a possibility. Stack them the right way. Yeah, yes, they'll be stacked the correct way. I just set them up there for now. But where should we put them? And should we put up all of them? VHS should have its own shelf unless you want to space them out. I don't know if there's enough for their own shelf, if that's all I have. Lessons should have a place of prominence since it's your current favorite. That's a fair point. Pick your favorite VHS and have them front facing. Okay. Could that answer what we put under the Borg? So, like, if I put This Side of Paradise and Lessons, oh no, they're kind of too big. They don't really go under it too well. I could push it back like that. Does that cover up the cube too much? Or I could just have them in front on a shelf like this. That's also an option. You don't have that many of them. You could stand them facing outward to really show them off. Okay. So if I did like the whole shelf with them facing outward, maybe. Let's see how many we can fit doing that. Obviously, got to put them release order. I'm going to skip Motion Picture and Wrath of Khan for now, just because I already have the 6 movies up there. This one is kind of weird, though, because the front literally just says Star Trek The Next Generation on it. You'd have to, like, face the back. So I don't know if I'll do that one front facing. And then, what are we thinking? Zoom in a little bit on this here. What are we thinking? This also has this annoying coupon book sticker on it, and I don't really want to take off the seal, the wrapping, but this is, I feel like trying to take this off is going to rip it anyway. Oh, wait a minute. Nah, it's going to, nope. Yeah, it's going to be shitty. Yeah. Put Worf beside the, oh, whoa, that's way too close. But there we go. Put Worf beside the VHS. Like that. I like that. Don't put Worf beside any barrels. Yeah, absolutely. Okay. So I like that. That was good. We have the rest of these VHS. For now, we'll just leave them here for now. We'll see if they make the cut. All right. Blu-rays. Actually, these are 4K. Actually, so we got. Is this all of them? Yeah. So we have the first 9, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, first 9 Star Trek movies on 4K. How should we display these? The only one that I have that's not just your typical 4K case is the 40th anniversary Star Trek 3 Steelbook. So that one looks different. The rest of these are your typical, 4K covers. I don't like slip covers. I always get rid of slip covers. The only time I keep a slip cover is when it's different than the Blu-ray case. So if, for example, if this Final Frontier had a slip cover that had a different image on it, I would keep it. But All of these just had the same exact image. There's no reason to keep that. You just ruined me? Well, no, what ruined you was the people who make the Blu-ray and 4K cases who are too lazy to make a separate design for the slipcover. That's who ruined you. Now, to give you a really good example, let me see here. Where are we at? Where are we at? You know, I can't even find a good example. That's how tough it is. Can't even find one. Oh, wait, is this one? Okay. Here's a good example of a slipcover. Best of Both Worlds two-parter. Not only is it a completely different image on the case, but it also goes like this. How badass is that? So now that is a slipcover you keep. And that's one worth making. I hope you at least sell the slipcovers, leaving a lot of money on the table. No, I throw them right in the trash. Sometimes I rip them in half first, and then I throw them away. Well, because that's not a movie. What the hell? What does that have to do with it? What? Because it's not a movie. Mosquito does the same with slipcovers. All right. Anyway, back to business here. Oh, I did actually. I think I have one more Star Trek VHS. I sent this in the Discord, the Bridge Crew Discord when I got it. Star Wreck Zone. What is this? I found this at a resale store for like $2. It looks like claymation. What is that? It was made in 1995, so I haven't watched it yet, you know, to avoid spoilers. But look at that. That's hilarious. The unauthorized parody. What's it rated? I doubt this thing. This is 17 minutes. There ain't no rating on this. Anyway, would be kind of hilarious if I put this up, but I'm not going to yet. Now, here are two. I already showed one. Here are two that I did have on display already. The Star Trek Best of Both Worlds and the Star Trek Unification Blu-rays. Now, there is actually also one for Chain of Command I have not purchased yet, so I'm definitely looking to get that. But these are the two that I've gotten. Should these continue to be on display front-facing? Should I change this to reveal it like this on the shelf? What should we do? Yeah, I like Galaxy Quest. I don't know if I necessarily like it more because of digesting more Trek, but I enjoy it as a as a parody type film. I wouldn't say that it's like there's a lot of hype about it in terms of like, oh, it's actually the fourth best Star Trek film. I don't know. I haven't seen all the Star Trek films. Of the ones that I've seen, I probably like it better only than 5 and 6. But it's not like my favorite or anything. But yeah, I like it. Good movie. R.I.P. to Alan. Keep the box closed. Okay. Can you put best of both worlds with the cube? That's a good idea. Okay. Yeah, let's see. Let's move this over. Does that make sense? And then, I mean, this one doesn't really, unification is not really related, but you could set that there for now, just to have something there. All right. 4Ks. What should I do with these? I gotta make sure they're in order. What happened here? Okay, there's that one. Wrath of Khan motion picture. Okay, there we go. Put them back in order. Locutus with the cube for sure. That makes sense. What about these? What about these Blu-rays? Put them over here for now, maybe. But what should I do with those? That's something to discover. Next to the cube and see how it looks. Well, then I might have to move the cube over a little bit. So just so these can sit up against the side. How did I have this before? What? That's not wanting to stay up anymore. How did I have this? Was it like this? Like that? Cube looks jammed in there. It is jammed in there. Could put the by the way, is this even Locutus? Because that's not what Locutus looks like. I think it's just a generic Borg. But I could put it here on top of the 4K. Right next to the cube. Does that look good? It doesn't look like Hue either. I think it's just a generic Borg. Photicus? Yeah. All right. Now, do we include the box sets that we have not seen yet? Do we include Voyager? Do we include Enterprise? Or do we leave those out for now? Because we do have the box, we have the box sets in the book ends for what we're watching. It could go next to them for like what's coming up. Or we could just leave them out. You'd include them. Staging area. Not until you're ready to watch them. Burn Enterprise. Okay, well, leave them out. So once again, we got a nice 50-50. Move them to the bottom. So they're out of frame, or basically out of frame. Hide them behind a curtain. Okay. All right, I guess for now, I could just kind of put them over in the corner. Not really on screen, probably hiding behind us. All right, up next. These are all books that have mostly all been on display already. So what do we want to do with these? I think this is actually where they were before, right here. Before, they were all just kind of stacked like this, and you can kind of just see the spines of the books. However, I do want to put this on display in some way. Star Trek Cats, where it has every TOS episode with cats. Devil in the Dark with cats. Are all the cats named Spot? They actually have, let's see if it's in the front or the back. Yeah, in the front here, they actually have all the cats laid out. Maress would approve, absolutely. Live long and prosper. Put it somewhere on your right, open, and switch the page to displaying each episode. That could be fun. Like maybe next to the TOS box set. What's a good fun one to start on here? I think the Devil in the Dark one's pretty fun to start. Let's see how well it does staying open though. Not great. Not great, unfortunately. If I had like a clip or something, I could. All right. The rest of these books, we got some paperbacks that were sent to us: Imzadi, Q and Law, Strangers from the Sky, and then we got these big ones. I think someone had brought up one of these books already. We got the Encyclopedia, The Arts of Star Trek, the Concordian, Technician Manual. All of these are in this stack here. Let me turn off the comments real quick here. So that's how they look when they're all just stacked. All right. Now we have to make a decision because we do have some bigger items, and that is board games. So, do we want any of these on display? We have Star Trek the game. Pretty self explanatory. There is the Next Generation interactive VCR board game. There's Star Trek The Next Generation Game of the Galaxies. I think that's it. Should any of those go on display? The Star Trek game has beautiful cover and should go above the DS9. Well, here we go again. None of this is going to be in frame. The frame starts right here and below. This will be the top of the frame in the videos. No, says CD Freezer, to putting any of them up. Shots, Ian, because I said it again. Game behind the glasses. That's actually not a bad idea because the glasses are, obviously see through and they don't have a ton of visibility with nothing behind them. What if we put the Star Trek game behind it? Does that make it worse or better? Is that better or worse? Now it's kind of covering their faces, though. TNG game instead? Put them in the center. Like that. Still kind of covering up Kirk a little bit. Are the glasses obscured as well? Maybe let's try something less detailed. Someone said the TNG game. Let's try that. Is that better? What are we thinking? One glass on top of the other two? Are you nuts? No, thank you. I have the fourth glass badger. I actually have multiple copies of all the glasses, but Alex has some. If you want to send us the fourth glass, obviously you can. That'd be nice, but I don't want you thinking that we don't have it. It's just Alex has some of the stuff as well. Elevate the TNG game by putting some books underneath. Oh, you know what? Thank you so much, Artificial Duality. That is a great point. We have it on the wrong shelf. This whole shelf right here will not be seen. So great call out. We need to change that. TOS box was better behind. All right, we'll leave the boxes off for just now. We need to fix this side. So let's go ahead and move these. That's not going to fit there. So we're back to square one with that. This is not going to fit with these books here, so we'll have to move these. At least the big ones. All right. Board games are meant to be stacked on each other. Is Wharf posable? Not really. Raise the shelf? Well, we could always put stuff on top of it because we got a lot of stuff still left. I agree about the board games being stackable, though. Let's. I do really like though the cover of the Star Trek one, but if we stack them like this, could do that. That is an option. Okay. So next up, the next thing that we have is a handful of figures, action figures, which you have seen on display. So before we get into them individually, what do we think about them just overall? Should they be displayed? Should they have their own shelf? A few of them mixed in? What are we thinking? I have basically all of them, for the most part, are in their boxes. There are some of them that aren't, but for the most part, they are. Where the games are. Do you mean instead of the games or with them? No, I can't move the camera to the framing. That would be too much movement. I can't. It's not. That would be too much. Phase one game stacked on the other two. So basically one vertically while the other two are stacked. Well, I think this TNG one is the shortest one, and even that one's too tall to stack. So don't think that would work. However, we could definitely put a number of trinkets up here on top of them. All right, let's jump into the figures. We have, first of all, this one's not in the box, but in a package, the big three from TOS. I have these. I also have Mirror Spock with a damaged box. The GOAT, Kalar. This is from the mailbox. We got Morn. The box is kind of yellow and damaged, but got Morn in there. Dr. Crusher from The Big Goodbye. We have James Kirk from City on the Edge of Forever with a slightly damaged box. We have Ninja Turtle Star Trek crossover. We have Captain Leonardo. And we have First Officer Donatello. Normal figure of Dr. Crusher. Trelane from TOS. Counselor Troy. And good old Harry Mudd. So that is what we have. Now, before I just had some of these sprawled out on the bottom shelves, but do you think that's what we should do, or should we? What are we thinking? TOS should always be front and center. Big three figures next to the board games. Let's see. Next to them, like where the cups are? Have the big three out, not in the plastic thing. I'd have to find a way to stand them then. I don't have any kind of stand. Behind the glasses? I don't know if behind the glasses, I mean, do you even see them at that point? I guess you kind of do, right? I don't think they're really going to be that visible. Elevated on something. Okay. That's a decent idea. Could use maybe some VHSs that we're not putting on display. Is that better? I think I'm going to remove this phaser that's up here just because it looks a bit of a small detail. I think it looks a little bit cleaner with just them three. And then maybe instead of the cat's book and this here, we can move these. Just set this here for now. We could go fun guest characters down here. See how much room there is. Oh, yeah, box was broken for Morn. So now we just got Morn. Raise them some more? Yeah. Should we just put the Morn right here? Just like little Easter egg? Little Easter egg Morn? All right. Here's a few items you guys had asked about. We got the phaser remote. We also have the Klingon Targ, one of my personal favorites. And then we have the Trouble with Tribbles.
No, I don't.
We can put the Targ here. This is one of those items that could go here with the on top of the board games for sure. Use the phaser remote when starting the videos. That's a decent idea. I think the one thing we definitely have to figure out, though, is if we're going to use the Borg cube or not. And also, because of the height of the chairs, these two cubes might be mostly hidden from where we're sitting, but they'll probably still be somewhat seen, so we should put stuff in there too. You would try to have the Borg cube? Let's see. Nope. Yeah, I really don't think this comes off. I don't want to break it. Let's move this for a second. With a Cutis, could fit that in there. And then let's see, just got to find something for these two cubes down here. We could always throw this in there. You know, Star Trek. Maybe put that on top of some books or something. Here. Here's another thing I thought might be cool to put up there was the Star Trek action adventure story. And then also the Trek bloopers. This one's a little bit, not visually, it's kind of basic. So I don't know if you would see it that well. Maybe put that down there. Again, it's going to be a little bit lower. I'll try real quick, but I don't know how this is going to work. I want to knock over my whole setup here. 1 second. Let me see if I can do this. Yeah, unfortunately, not really able to adjust it that much, but this is a little bit more accurate in terms of the bottom of the framing. A little bit more accurate in terms of where it'll be at. The top, obviously, still, it's not. It's going to be cut off. The goal will be right here. So anything above this, not in it, but to where these shelves are down here. Now, obviously, you have at the bottom level on the sides. By the time you get over to the edges here, probably not going to be in frame or be covered up by us. But I do like this. I do like this overall so far. What do you guys think? Put the phaser with the DS9. You mean the station? It's like this? And you can't really see it, doesn't really show that well. I mean, it might even be better to just pull like right here or something. Hey, well, thank you for the super chat. This guy is Star Treks. Yeah, I guess I do a little bit. I trek too hard. Thank you for that. Starting to come together quite nicely, says Connor. Thank you. Morn should be swinging from one of the station pylons or sitting on the edge of the shelf with his feet dangling. Well, I don't think I could do him swinging from the pylon, but he could sit like that. Should Morn be sitting like that? Too low and by itself. What are we talking about, Siddhartha? What is too low? Oh, the Ferengi head? Too low and by itself? Um, it is a bit low. Looking to see if there's anything I could put under it. That would make sense. Not sure. Let's continue to go through the items here. I have this Star Trek spaceship set. Don't think it's put together. So they're in this box, but it's not together in the box. We of course have the framed original series cast on the view screen prop. It's always a good one. These are a few more bigger items, but are thinner. We have the Trek magazine. I've had this on display for a while with her on the cover. Also have the Star Trek 3 Stardate calendar. And then we got these recently. There's the an Enterprise Incidents magazine. And then we have a few more Star Trek comics we just got. That frame should have you and Alex in a uniform picture in it. Yeah, maybe, eventually. I'm not going to get the chair out right now. I'm not turning on the lights. I can't do any of that right now on stream. Any of the stuff I just showed, should any of that go up? Really, we have this shelf here still empty. Put the DS9 DVDs on their sides underneath the Ferengi head. Maybe I could put season 1 since we're on season 2 now, just for a little bit of height. Is that a little bit better? And make the rest of these, push the rest of these up so season 2 is in the forefront. I think that makes it a little bit better. Put some Latinum bars under it? Yeah, if I had some, I would. Should probably find something to put under the DS9 box, or I'm sorry, the TOS box set as well. Maybe I could use a couple of these books here. Make that a bit taller. All right. I think we're starting to cook. Maybe the Targ would be better up here. These up here. Put this mug maybe right here. Show off the mug in this little spot. Stand one of the games up next to the TOS pick. Leave the DVD Blu-rays where they were. Switch the head with Star Trek the motion picture. I'm not sure what this means. With Star Trek the motion picture. Do you mean the soundtrack? The head on the top shelf will look okay there. Yeah, I'm thinking about it. What if we did, let's move this for a second. What if we did that? And then since this is going to be in the bottom, not the whole cubby is probably not going to be seen. The shuttle, which is higher up, could still be seen. Do we think that's better? Yeah, the glare is not representative of the glare when we record the videos. But if you do want me to move the glare just for... I actually don't know if I think I have to move this actually. That's even worse. Yeah. That stuff should be visible behind you while you guys are seated. Yeah, well, yes, that was the idea. That was the idea. More TNG in the cubbies. What TNG item would you put in here that you see on these shelves? What would you put in the cubbies? Let me know. Worf's not big enough to take up the cubby. I think really the biggest thing we need to cover up at this point is this shelf right here. This is just kind of dead empty. We have some Star Trek maps. Here, let's just cover up the entire background. These were made in 1980. I don't think they would spoil us. You think the two LPs and the cubbies need to offset each other, top right, middle left? Top right, middle left. So put the Ferengi head back where it was. Like that. Is that better? I think the one thing I do agree with is that there's really not much TNG here except for the shuttle. But I just don't have really much TNG that's like a big blocky item that could go there. The wharf isn't big enough. The cube won't fit. I need to find like a bulky TNG item. Oh, I also have this Ferengi figure, by the way. The legs don't bend though. I don't think the shuttle can really go any higher. See you later, TC. The TNG bridge set? Yeah. Yeah, so really just have this shelf over here left. I think we're pretty good. I think we're pretty locked in with the middle. and pretty locked in with these 3 shelves over here. So we can move off of this. Let's try to fill this up here. We have the calendar, Star Trek 3 calendar. That's something, but this isn't really something that's going to be able to stand. We have more figures. Could always default to that. Take the game with the best art and stand it on the empty shelf. I could do that. Like, for example, I could do this. Oh, actually, can this one even stand? No, not on that one. I'd have to switch these. Put these down here. I can do that. And have a little bit more space for items on top of here. But is that item, is that too big? Is that worth putting there like that? I mean, that's good. It's good art. It's definitely good art. And then basically just fill up the top of that board game slot there. I have these mini DS9 micro machines. Put those up here. Even that's a little bit too tall. Put the spaceship set. Here we go. I think this is a tricorder, right? Is that a tricorder? Can't really see it. Can you even see it? Can you tell what it is? And then maybe instead of the TOS frame, we can put something behind this to hold it up. like that. What are we thinking? So ignore the top, ignore these shelves, ignore this top, ignore these shelves. Just from here, down, these three on each side. What are we thinking? W, L? Joshua, when you say next to the Ferengi head, do you mean in the same cubby? Because I don't want to crowd the cubbies. I like it one item on display. I mean, the shuttle one has multiple items because it's a bit small. Take it all down and start over. Yeah, absolutely. There we go. Put the tricorder with the phaser. Could I fit the phaser over here, maybe? Can you even see the phaser from that angle? Oh, the phaser's TOS. No, I think that's a TNG phaser. Other way, move the tricorder and phaser to where it was before. On top of the VHS. Like this. Where would the tricorder go? All right. How are we feeling about this right here with the bookends? I do like the bookends, but do you think we're wasting too much space right here by putting this bookend here? Or do we think that's good? I also have this phaser. Is this the newer TNG phaser? I'm not going to be moving anything. Put Worf in the targ below DS9 station. I'm not going to be doing that. Both phasers with the tricorder on the VHS. I don't think they could all fit on top of the. Remember, these VHS have nothing behind them, so these are just like thin tops here. I couldn't. I could fit this one over here. I don't know how that looks. Or oh no, that wouldn't really make any sense. I think this is good. All right. So the rest of the stuff that I have is, you know, smaller items, stuff that's not going to really interfere with the overall layout of stuff here. So um, I think as far as like the main kind of just base of where we're at, I think this is good. Adjustments will be made. I'll make final touches. Now, this stuff up here, the picture frame, these VHSs, those aren't going to make it into there. But I think this is pretty good. Pretty good starter here. The first videos you can expect to see this will be for DS9 Episode 5 and TNG Episode 6. I don't know which order that's in. Well, one of those would be first, but those are the two first ones that you can expect to see this background, because we have recorded up through Episode 5 of TNG and 4 of DS9. So those will still have the current old ones. You will still see the same lighting, the red and blue lighting for TNG, the green lighting for DS9. That'll still be displayed on here. But that too, maybe we do something else. I don't know, but I do like that lighting, so we'll probably keep that. But overall, I think this is good. I think we definitely needed a refresh, and I'm glad that it'll now be fully Star Trek behind us. I think that'll be neat. So we've gotten some new stuff in here. We've gotten to add back some old stuff that hasn't been displayed in a while. So yeah, I like it, guys. Oh, but can't forget, almost forgot. Got to get this somewhere. I will have to find a place for this one. I'm gonna just set it up right here for now. This won't be in frame, but I'll just set it up there for now. How long are you trying to keep it going? Keep it like that for? I mean, I have no plans of changing it. It's obviously going to change over time, but if you're talking about like as a whole, like this setup as a whole, I have no plans of changing it. But obviously, as we get through the stuff, we get through Deep Space Nine, watch the TNG movies, and also just collect more stuff, both through the PO box, but buying it on our own as well. It could change behind us, very, very much so. So, but as far as the actual total setup of it, of us in the chairs in front of this stuff, I don't see that going away anytime soon. The only change I could see to it is if we eventually are able to move up to a multicam setup for discussions, where we would have a tight shot on myself, a tight shot on Alex, and then a wide shot on us both instead of just the wide shot. If we do that, then we would need to adjust more from a 360 view of where we're sitting. But until that happens, I think this setup will probably be, kind of what we stay with. But yeah, and even then, the 3-camera setup, probably not something we would do for discussions, just for the episodic discussions and reactions. That'd probably be something we do to set up for, a movie discussion or a bigger, an audience cut, or just a discussion focused video, not just the episodic discussions, because it'd be a lot of work to set that up just for that every single episode. Yes, we do have to figure out an overhead camera so we can do board gaming. Yeah, 100% agree with that. Allie says it's not worth the hassle doing the 3-camera shot. Okay, yeah, I'm thinking that's fair. Yeah, it definitely would add a lot more editing. Then you have the more video files to import. Like, it adds a whole bunch. So that's one of the reasons I haven't tried to do that thus far. But Alex is going to be here in just a little over an hour, and we're not watching Star Trek today, but we are going to be recording today. So I'm going to go get ready for that. But in the meantime, I can spend a couple more minutes here if you guys have any questions or anything you want to throw out at me before I go. I appreciate you guys being here and helping me set up with this. It's a lot of fun. Are you overwhelmed by how much more Star Trek there is to watch? No, I wouldn't say overwhelmed. No. Um, if I'm overwhelmed by anything, it's how much we're doing right now on the channel. If I could go back in time and change something, I would probably change how many other projects here on the channel we started um, that I just didn't get done. So I kind of put myself in a place where, on top of trying to get everything done on time for Star Trek, both on the Patreon and on YouTube, which is already a lot. There's a lot of other kind of miscellaneous things that are on the sideline that I'm wanting to get done. But the good news is it's finite, unlike Star Trek. So what I mean by that is that other stuff, whether it's movies or Expanse, I mean this is basically all Patreon related. Those are all things that once I do get them done, they're done. It's not like Star Trek where we're going to be doing it for years. So basically, once we are done with all of that stuff and are back to just it being Star Trek, we'll be able to kind of streamline a little bit better in terms of preparing um, our work balance from a recording and editing standpoint. And once we do that, then I think we'll be able to do some really cool stuff, both with Star Trek and outside of Star Trek. So, and I'm talking about video content, I mean. But for right now, it's kind of just buckling down, making sure Star Trek is the first priority, and getting that, three times a week on the Patreon uncut, and then as many times as we can, 3 times a week on YouTube when we can. But once we get caught up with that here in the next month or so, then getting caught up with that other stuff is really going to help for the end of 2025 and going into next year. I'm really excited. So thank you guys that have stuck with us through all that. I really appreciate it. Edgar, not a Star Trek question, but with the recent passing of Hulk Hogan, do you have any thoughts? I actually already talked about this on the stream I did over the weekend. Someone asked about that, so I would recommend going there and checking it out. But obviously, I mean, I was a wrestler. Been a lifelong wrestling fan, and there is no pro wrestling really in the 80s or 90s of what it was up until modern day. Without Hulk Hogan, so it is crazy. But with that being said, celebrity deaths aren't really something that I ever have been impacted or thought that much about. I know some people get really impacted when like someone they grew up with died. Like it doesn't really impact me that way. But I also didn't grow up with Hulk Hogan. I'm a little bit younger, a little bit before my time. Ryan, when you're looking up a character on Star Trek, how do you not spoil if there are no episodes later on in the series? Um, I'm guessing you mean like a guest character if we're looking up. So typically, I'm not looking up guest characters by like Googling their name or something. The only time I'd be like looking something like that up is if we're talking about the episode that we just watched. And in that case, I would look up the episode title and then I would just go down to the cast and just see who played that character. And on IMDb, like it doesn't list in the cast for the episode how many episodes that actor played that character. You'd have to like go to the actor's page and then go find it that way. So I would just say just the way we navigate it. Have you watched Pogo's Picard and Data Song? No, I have not, and it's been suggested to us dozens of times, and almost every single time someone suggests it, oh, this would be a good time for you guys to watch this. Someone else comes in and goes, no, there's a spoiler for this point. So I still have not gotten to the point where I'm sure that we are safe to watch it. But yeah, I am aware of it has been recommended quite a bit. I would just say anything like that, don't expect there to be any type of like reaction content or anything about that. Maybe it's something I watch in my personal time, but we just don't really have the time right now to do like ancillary Star Trek reactions that aren't the shows. Any non-spoiler hints at your feelings for TNG 7 so far? Not the best. Not the best. Haven't hated every episode, but not the best start. Alex met Gates McFadden. Who would you most want to meet? Um, Jonathan Frakes. Jonathan Frakes. Just because, I loved him before TNG, growing up watching Beyond Belief. So now loving him as Commander Riker as well as Jonathan Frakes, that'd be my number one. And Alex did meet him as well, but just very briefly in a group photo with him, Brent Spiner, and Denise Crosby. So just for a second, but I would love to be able to. I talked about this last stream, but if we got to a point where we could do like a podcast or interview style type thing where we could talk to actors, but also writers, directors, whoever that worked on the shows over the years, that'd be something I'd love to do. Have you warmed to the DS9 theme and intro yet? I don't know if I'd say warm to it. I mean, we didn't hate it. It's fine. It's just fine. I mean, the intro, if you're talking about the video, it's just 90s TV quality special effects of the space station, and that's it. So it's like, what is there to really? And the theme is fine. Would you agree Pulaski's most lasting contribution to the show was her introducing the bridge crew to the poker game? Did she do that? If so, then obviously, yeah. I know that she was in the first poker scene, but was it like in the dialogue? Because it was Measure of a Man, right? Was it in the dialogue where she was introducing it to them, or was she just playing with them? Sort of, would you do a Where's Waldo type thing where you hid a Star Trek item on the shelves behind you each video and see if someone can spot it for a shout out or something? That's a fun idea. Um, yeah, maybe I'll think about that. I'll think about maybe somehow working that in some way. It's always hard to do shout outs because, we film so far ahead, but we can do something. All right, I'm gonna head out, guys. Just about an hour until Alex gets here and we start recording tonight. So I'm gonna go. Thanks for being here. Thanks for helping me organize the shelves. I'm really excited, and I'll see you guys soon. There should be a video up hopefully tomorrow, which would be If Wishes Were Horses YouTube edit, and then hopefully a couple more by the end of the week. But if not, like I said, we're getting back to doing them as quick as we can. So just hang on for that. But all right, thanks everyone. I will see y'all later.